It's not about the governing document. It's that when a person can look into the soul of another human being and get seen for the first time in another's eyes, that's the whole game. That's the game of transformation of the planet. That's the game for an equal rights amendment passing. That's the game for climate change. That's a game for ending the 52 wars that are happening right now as we speak in this podcast.
Hey, friend, you are in for such a treat. And really, if there was a way to prepare for incredible amounts of wisdom, whatever that entails, I recommend it. So, whether that's getting into the hot bath or getting out your notebook or getting into a comfortable position or being in the car and just being ready to be entertained and listen and soak in the wisdom, it's all here for you. There's so much. There's so much here for you.
Hi, friend. If you've been dreaming about bringing your women together around beauty, truth, and transformation, this is your invitation. At Goddess of Light curated retreats, the heartbeat is the breath. The sacred space we create is anchored in transformational breathwork, infused with Reiki, and organic homemade meals prepared with care, intention, and love. These retreats are designed to melt armor, restore nervous systems, and awaken the deep knowing that's been waiting just beneath the surface. I offer 3 powerful ways we can co-create. Drop-in facilitator. I join your retreat to lead one potent breathwork and Reiki session or ceremony. This is the perfect way to elevate an already beautiful gathering with deep energetic anchoring. Full weekend presence. I stay with your group throughout the retreat, offering guided breathwork, Reiki, meditations, energy support, and presence woven into every part of the weekend, including cacao ceremonies. Full retreat facilitation and production. I create the entire retreat for you. The space, the chef, the rhythm, the healing, all of it, every aspect. You gather your women, I hold everything else. This is for leaders who want to nourish and be nourished. For those who know it's time to come together and want to do this with elegance and ease and soul, this is for you. If your heart's been calling for this, you can reach out to me, Siri@sageblushwellness.com, or DM me on Instagram at Siri Baruc Thornton. Let's create something unforgettable. Welcome to The Authentic Creative, where we expand our capacity to feel good one deep breath, one bold choice, and maybe a little bit of magic at a time. I'm Siri Baruc Thornton, healer, creative, and lifelong explorer of all things energy, self-expression, and joy. With over 26 years of experience in Reiki, Akashic Records, and transformational breathwork, I've learned that feeling good is not a luxury, it's a practice. And sometimes it's a little messy. This podcast is here to help you trust your intuition, break the rules, the ones that need breaking, and live more fully in your gifts. So give yourself a deep breath, get cozy, and let's dive in.
I am absolutely honored and delighted to hold space for you, the listener, and for the women here. We have just come back from a really incredible breath work that I was so honored to lead. And we did some grounding and running energy together. Some of us are meeting for the first time. And I believe all of our souls have known each other. And that's why we're here. There's something that's ready to come through, that's ready to be shared, that's ready to be remembered, that's ready to be known again with this group, through this group of women. There's no coincidence that you're listening right now. There's no coincidence that you're here sharing in this women's circle right now. So welcome, beloved ones, to this moment that has been ripening quietly in your heart, in your breath, in your voice. You arrive here holding generations of women who longed to speak, who dreamed of rising, who carved paths with hope. Today, we rewrite with breath as ink, with voice as paint, with body as the brush. We rise as a reclamation. This is the space where your light belongs. This is the room where your becoming is the curriculum. This is the moment your voice leads with truth. You are whole already. You are right on time. You are already the rewrite, and your rising is now here, right here inside of you, right where the magic is, right now. So give yourself a breath. And here we go. So, welcome to this very special episode of The Authentic Creative, expanding our capacity to feel good. I am Siri Baruc Thornton, your host, and I am deeply honored to welcome you to the Rewrite and Rise panel. Your voice, your power, your becoming. Each of these women that you will hear from today is a force of nature, a soul-centered leader, and a vessel of transformation. We have already shared breath, energy, and story in our opening transformational breathwork infused with Reiki circle. As I just shared, we are grounding here, opening and present with you. And we begin this recording portion of our gathering, knowing that these women are bringing their full truth of who they are. And each question has been lovingly curated to honor their unique medicine. So we're going to begin here with the lovely Bridget Simmons, a PCC certified coach, energy leadership expert, and keynote speaker known for her bold framework that empowers high achievers to shift limiting beliefs and step into lasting success. Bridget, what belief systems do we release to rise into a version of success rooted in joy and alignment? And how does mindset become the bridge to that becoming? So this is like a two-parter, and feel free to ask me to break it up into two pieces if it feels better.
I love that. Well, first, Siri, thank you for having me. I'm so excited and honored to be here with you and all these incredible souls for this moment. And this is my jam. The whole entire element of rising and reclaiming is what I live to experience and to create the experience for. And so the first question, if you could break that down to give me that question first, and I'll handle that.
Yeah. So first part is, what belief systems do we release to rise into a version of success rooted in joy and alignment?
So the thing about belief systems and the things that we end up believing and then operating in accordance to are just handed to us. And it's what I call BS. It's all BS. All of it's BS. And when we're able to question our belief systems and open ourselves up to understand, well, wait a minute, why is it that I believe that Black women can't do X, or that we can only do XYZ? Because until you're awake to understanding that you're doing everything, moving, not moving, believing something, not believing something, because of things that were just handed to us, and we just lovingly grabbed onto it. We said, okay, that's what we believe, got it, and operate in that space until moments like this one, where we have conversations where we begin to question, what is it that I'm believing, or where in my life? So to answer your question more directly is, what the belief systems we need to let go of are very individual by the person. And it depends on what area of your life are you feeling stuck, miserable, bored, like you're tolerating things, irritated. The list could go on. If you're experiencing any level that's not joy, happiness, and satisfaction, that is a huge clue that's been built into our system to begin to explore, what's the belief system that's making me feel that way in that area. And then that's the space where we can start making a list of, okay, the belief system around what it takes to earn money, or the belief system about work period, or the belief system around motherhood, or being a daughter, or being a good person. There's so many belief systems that have us in a box of misery because we haven't examined them.
Yeah, makes so much sense. And here's the second part. So how does mindset become the bridge to that becoming?
Yeah. Well, first, it's letting go of the thought that mindset is just like happy thoughts or affirmations. It really is around examination of your mindset, understanding that you have a mindset, that your mind has been tuned and programmed to certain belief systems. That's where you start. Okay, I understand that I do and don't do things in accordance to my belief systems that were most likely handed to me by caregivers, society, etc. Let me lay them out on the table and examine what my thoughts are about those areas in my life. So your mindset begins to be the questioner, the examiner, the clarifier, and then the chooser. You utilize your very intelligent logic to respond to the emotions of irritation, frustration, boredom, etc., to then choose, okay, you know what? That was given to me by my mother and my great great grandmother, and it's been passed down. And it served them because maybe it was generationally relevant for that time place, but now it's no longer generationally relevant for me. So I lovingly release that belief system. So you use your mindset and the way that you think about what you do and don't do in order to lovingly choose and discard and keep and then adopt new belief systems that can elevate you to take you to the levels that you desire to be.
I love this so much. And I just want to ask one small follow-up question, which is, what is your absolute favorite way of, once you've become aware and you've noticed, I don't like this. I feel like I'm in a, as you said, a box of my own misery here, right? Like, okay, I've had the awareness, I've noticed it. I want to change this. I see that this is not of my choosing, and I'd like to shift into this being of my choosing. What's your favorite? Is it an embodiment tool? Is it a journaling tool? What do you love right now in this moment, Bridget?
One word: community.
Okay.
Community is the healer, being witnessed in what you just shared. Once you have that awareness, and sometimes awareness, you may not get that to the place of awareness except for in community. But if you're in that space that you just described, or oh my gosh, I'm in my box of my own misery, I'd like to shift this. The fastest, deepest way to create levels of accountability and consistency with it is to be witnessed in it by another human, a group of like-minded humans in a space of loving, supportive, authentic community is the fastest, deepest, truest way to make it happen.
I love that so much. Obviously, here we are.
Yeah.
And we can have these aha moments with each other so much quicker. There's that domino effect of we're co-regulating, we're having these sparks flying, their mirror neurons are going, and we can start to see things that maybe in our own little narrow way that we wouldn't necessarily see previously. Okay, obviously Bridget and I are going to have a separate conversation on the podcast where we can go deeper, and that was obviously just like touching just a little taste of Bridget and her magic and her wisdom, and clearly she's got so much more wisdom and magic to share. I love the golden nuggets that you just shared, Bridget. Thank you so much. And I am looking forward to having our deeper conversation. So Michelle Rios has been on the Authentic Creative podcast previously, and you can go back and listen to her episode. You can also hear her on previous panels. She is a sought-after speaker, soon-to-be author, and host of the top-ranked Live Your Extraordinary Life podcast, which I was recently on, which was beautiful. From humble beginnings as the daughter of teenage parents in rural America, she rose to become a respected business leader and soulful entrepreneur, and today she inspires others to live with authenticity and step into their most extraordinary lives. So Michelle, I love you so much. What does it mean to rewrite the story of your worth? And we'll just piece it like that. Let's just do that piece first. What does it mean to rewrite the story of your worth?
Well, first of all, Siri, thank you for doing this panel. It's so wonderful to be in the company of all these brilliant minds. So thank you for having me again. I think when we talk about worth, I think one of the biggest things, and all of us, I think, suffer a bit from this, is remembering that worth is not the result of good behavior, a birthright. And yet, I'm going to just guess, dollars for donuts, most of us high-achieving women on this call and who are listening to this podcast suffer from some deep afflictions around earning our worth, right?
Yeah.
We go through that period of, we step into a chapter of a story that we never wrote when we're born into this world, when we come into this. And I think that we often think, particularly when we're younger, that we are charting our destiny and we are making our choices of our own volition. But the reality is we're completely shaped by our environment. We're shaped by, as Bridget was saying, so many of our inherited patterns from, going back several generations. So there isn't really that ability to make conscious choices until we're much later and aware of the fact that we were living somebody else's story. We just happened to have a starring role in it. We never auditioned for the part. We just got a starring role. And so oftentimes you get to that place where you realize the thing that you're living, the story that's in front of you, that really has been driving your sense of worth and being, isn't the thing. Something happens. There's always that chasm, right? The rub where you're like, I'm living somebody else's story. This isn't even my story. For some people, it's incredibly a sharp turn and things kind of pivot. For other people, it's a slow burn of like, this is just uncomfortable. I'm wearing a skin that doesn't fit. For me, it was sort of like a pounding over the head because I was unable to give credence to that voice, that still small voice we all have, right? The whispers that the soul gives us throughout time. I kept pushing it down, going, that doesn't even sound logical, all the things you're saying. So I'm going to press it down. My very pragmatic self does not like this.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep achieving, doing all these amazing things that I was doing as a young person until it feels right.
Yeah.
Only the newsflash here is it never 100% feels right if you didn't to consciously choose it. So for me, and I know the story unfolds very similarly for other people, but for me, it took hitting a rock bottom moment of realizing my worth was completely outsourced.
Yeah.
All the things I was achieving, into the titles I had, into the scholarships I had, and the promotions I had, and, the good girl status, and the center stage performances, and the solos, and all of this. And none of it was tied to my being. And that was a really harsh reality, to be able to sit there and say, well, what happens if all of this goes away? Who am I then?
Yeah.
I didn't have an answer for that. And I think a lot of people come to this later in life. I got a nice preview in my 20s. The quarter life crisis was very real for me. And it didn't mean I got to jump through the hoops any quicker. It just meant the awareness was there sooner. You still have to go through the process that Bridget was talking about of examining it and going, okay, so if worth is inherent in my being and not in my doing, then I get to make different choices. A lot of these choices were actually predicated on the fact that I knew people were going to be happy. I was deep in people-pleasing mode, and I didn't even know I was in people-pleasing mode. I was an independent young woman, and I made really strong choices. But it was really with the eye of like, these adults are going to be super happy if I do it. They're going to be proud of me. They're going to love me more. And so I was buying my worth as I was going. So I was like, what if I stop making these choices? Will they still love me? Will they still support me? Will I still be me? And here's the really interesting thing. They'll love you more, is what I found out over time, because you love you more. And not only that, but more people will be drawn to you because they'll realize you are not performing anymore. I can't wait till Robin talks, because as a performer, I can't wait to hear what she says. But because I was phenomenal at playing the part, I played it to a T, to a point where I no longer knew I was performing.
Yeah.
I was the best little actress that ever was. And, wipe away the tears and keep going, because that's what we do. We're strong women. And when you put down the mantle and you start to say, okay, for me, it took walking away from a 25-year career to fully own my worth. When I no longer had that C-suite title to identify with, or that bank account with many zeros behind the salary coming in to identify with. And I truly was hitting a reset on that side of my identity, that I had to sit with myself and say, do I like who I am? Do I like how I'm showing up?
Yeah.
That's when I was really able to lean into the rewriting of the story, because you inherit the story you're born with. You chart the story you decide to write next. And I think that that's probably the biggest lesson, when you can strip away all the titles and really sit with yourself in the discomfort of no titles. Who are you then? That's rewriting starts.
That's gorgeous, Michelle. I love that you were the experimenter who needed to go through it in a dramatic way to actually teach us, the women listening, here, and to remind us. I obviously noticed the theme of what both Bridget and you are saying is completely in alignment with the theme of our panel here today, but with the way that we're all rising together is in this consciousness, in this awareness of that we get to take the pen and we get to rewrite the story, and we get to set down the roles that we've been playing. We get to put down the masks. And I love what you said about you loved yourself more, and therefore they appreciated and loved the fact that you were loving yourself more. So you were not abandoned, which is the ego and the fear. And it's so intrinsically in our body to feel that we will be abandoned if we set it down. But that you were loved more because you loved yourself more. I mean, that's just, mic drop right there. So thank you, Michelle. And you already answered the second part of the question. So thank you. And we are going to talk now with Jessica Dawson, who I have not yet had on the podcast. She is the bridge for seekers craving something more. She ignites the spark that awakens your uncharted potential and guides you towards your sacred transformation. So Jessica, what does it look like to trust the spark of something more? And how do you guide others through their earliest stages of becoming? We can start, if you like, and break it up. We can do what does it look like to trust the spark of something more, Jessica?
Yes, thank you so much for having me on, Siri. What an honor. I also am I think, most appreciative of the energy that's coming from this call, that all of us are really igniting. So very happy to be here. And also, as I was listening to you introduce me, I'll just say this: I've never heard myself introduced in such a spiritual and philosophical way. And I did it on purpose, because usually I am the coach, the keynote speaker, et cetera, et cetera. And so stepping into this, that was a spark for me, right? How can I introduce myself in a new way? And so when you think about the spark to something more, a couple of things that I'll also just highlight about myself. I do consider myself the bridge to enlightenment. I feel like everybody on this call is probably also a bridge to that. It's also about meeting people where they are, right? So I love what Michelle and Bridget had to say in terms of the identities that we're given, the mindsets that we have because of the conditioning. And so even in the midst of all of that, at the core of who we are, yes, we're living in this time-space reality. And in addition to that, we existed before we were in this plane, and we will exist beyond. So I want to be able to reach people through the conditioning. Also, when we think about this word of becoming, such a beautiful word that we're exploring, right? The becoming is an iterative and eternal process. So I love this question because, first of all, when we were babies, right, it looked different in terms of what we desired, or the spark of something more. Maybe it was just food or going to the bathroom or being held, versus what it looks like today. So I think, firstly, we are always on this quest for something more, because that's what it means to be human, because we are creators. Recently, I heard this notion that instead of saying mind, body, spirit, it would be really interesting to begin and lead with spirit. And then it's about the body, and then it's about the mind. So when I think about even the inclination of something more, from a spiritual perspective, oftentimes that might look like our intuition, especially as women, we're given that gift. We're trained out of using that gift a lot. We also have spiritual gifts beyond the matrix and beyond this realm, right? And while our sparks may come from here, that's usually not where I'm working with people. I'm going to be really candid because I have to meet people where they are. And again, I'm that bridge. So the body, right there, and you do such a beautiful job of getting us into our body, Siri. I really appreciate you. But there is this wisdom in our body that will pull us towards things and away from things. So as a kid, maybe you wanted to dance, right? Or as an adult, maybe you're attracted to accounting. Our body also is an energy container for our emotions, right? And we know that emotions are nothing more than energy that are just channels and moving throughout our bodies. So there are clues within the sparks that can be found throughout the body and how we respond to certain sparks, right? Just like I was saying. So paying attention to that. And in my coaching, a lot of times it might be what's a peak experience that you've had recently, right? And we'll study that success. Or it might look like, what is it that if you didn't have to worry about money that you would be doing? Because in there are other clues to the sparks, which will get you to your next journey of enlightenment.
Yeah.
And then there's also the mind, right? So the mind allows for us to bring logic and also analysis of our patterns of thought, thinking, and behaving. So a lot of my work that I'm doing is actually exploring talent and the gateway to enlightenment. So I worked for Gallup for about 10 years, and we used a lot of Clifton Strengths. So in that work, a lot of what I would be doing is meeting people from a scientific standpoint, right? Because we know that our talent is really rooted in our neurological advantages, AKA our talent. And so people oftentimes that work and that are in the matrix, they'll be more receptive to the science of who you are versus the metaphysical part of who you are. So I usually will meet people there and we'll start with like this analysis, this baseline measurement of your natural capabilities, but that's really just the starting point. And it's through this exploration that we're able to explore the sparks of ease, the sparks of energy, excellence, enjoyment, etc. And that starts to paint the fabric or the layers of who you really are. And so what we end up with is this tapestry because we all actually have our own algorithm of which we're looking to live out in this time space reality. But it always starts with like, let's just meet you where you are. Let's start with your Clifton strengths. And then those conversations, it's almost like this dance to enlightenment. And I use my discernment to figure out where people are and where they're ready. And so if I want to go into astrology, I will, right? If I want to go into Abraham Hicks and the law of attraction, I will. But the bridge piece also allows me to hand off to my other friends that are maybe more deeply into the metaphysical space and doing that work. So I might be here as the bridge, but then there's also people that are further along and can help and aid, etc.
Yeah. So to come to the second piece, how do you guide others through their earliest stages of becoming? Is there you mentioned several ways in which you are the bridge and you ignite those sparks and you have them recognize those sparks. Is there a favorite in this moment way that you just, if you could have your like ideal client in your ideal transportation mode, what would that be for you in this moment? You talked about really putting spirit first.
Yeah. I love this question. My ideal client, and it's actually a really powerful question because I recently was just brutally honest with myself. Candidly, I've coached people at all levels within organizations in a lot of different walks of life. And where I always come back to is the woman who did everything right, you know, that got the degree, they were in the job, and there is something that's aching inside of them because their soul is wanting more and they can't figure out what's wrong. And so I love that type of person because there's a readiness there. And I get to help them to their next version of their launch point. And my favorite tool is Clifton Strengths because I love it. I am an SME in it. And there's a practicality to it. But as we talk about as I work with a person and I talk about their Clifton Strengths, what happens is I get spiritual downloads about them and where they're going to go next. So I would say that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, beautiful. So you love being this bridge, and it sounds like you're who Michelle needed 20, 30, whatever years ago when she was at that moment she was describing.
Michelle is 5, by the way. 20 years ago. Just kidding.
I'm making up numbers here.
No, I know.
But you're the person Michelle needed in that moment years ago, right? Like, then that's who Michelle is as well. And that's who we all are. It's like, we're the person that we needed. And we're going to show up and we're going to scoop ourselves up and we're going to be that for the people in front of us and be that bridge and that spark. That's so gorgeous. Thank you, Jessica. I love listening to you. I mean, I just could have like been wrapped and mesmerized forever. That was just like so inspiring to hear you talk about the spirit coming first and then the body and then the mind. I love that. And I love how you talk about spark and how you integrate spark and weave spark through everything that you said and being the bridge and how we're all the bridge. So Anna Paula Markel, I have to say, she taught me how to be a doula in Sherman Oaks, California, years ago when I was pregnant with my second son. And I brought a couple of other women, an acupuncturist and a masseuse with me that were at my first birth. And we all got certified together. And it was very powerful. And I'm forever grateful and thankful. Anna does such incredible work in her community, in the world at large with birth. She's the compassionate founder of Beanie Birth, a doula, childbirth educator, and community caregiver, empowering families across Los Angeles. So Anna, how has witnessing the birth process shaped your understanding of rewriting stories and becoming someone new?
Thank you, Siri. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for this space. I've been taking notes and I'm just having so many breakthroughs, just learning from everybody. And I also love how what everybody is saying just complements and builds. But in the birth space, I think that, we can connect the transformations that people go through with the process of pregnancy and becoming a parent to most life transitions. I think, particularly menstruation, childbearing, menopause. These are, transitions that we go through that are profound, that in a way we have to reevaluate who we are and have this new side of ourselves to be born. I think that a lot of times a sad piece to it is that as a parent is born, many times the identity of that individual is lost, when in reality, I think that, it's a opportunity for a reevaluation of what has served us until that point. And I loved what Bridget was saying in the beginning about the BS, because, when we are becoming a parent, we really reevaluate how we were raised and what part of that served us or serve us in this particular moment that we want to bring to next generations in regards to family traditions or habits in the house that you consider healthy, and what are the things that you want to dismiss. And I love the lovingly letting go, because it's lovingly letting go what doesn't serve you. So, there is no loss of the individuality, but just a rebuilding out of it. Also, then the humble understanding that once we form those concepts in pregnancy, as we're preparing, that most likely we will be humble, that some of those things will not work, and we have to reevaluate and reassess based on the personality of the child that we are raising and the circumstances around us. And some of us do better in this adjustment than others. Some of us that are more particularly connected to control or to a set outcome may have a harder time with the flexibility that this process requires. And labor is a parallel to life. I
Yeah.
think that, one of the questions that people in labor ask is how much longer, how much longer. And the answer to that is one contraction at a time. You can do this one contraction right now. You are okay. You are safe. So let's go through one contraction. And what a beautiful life lesson, right? See, if right now I'm starting to think about what my life is going to be when I'm 60, when I'm 70, when I'm 80, I can become easily overwhelmed. But right now, I am in this beautiful panel and I can do this. And sure, I can plan and prepare. And I think it goes back to the parallel of what we can control and what we cannot control.
Yeah.
And, it is the being versus doing. Right. So in pregnancy, what can people control? They can control what kind of care provider they hire, where they're going to give birth. They can control what they eat. They can control what they read. They can control what kind of input they're having. But there's so many things they cannot control. They cannot control when the baby is going to be born, how long labor is going to be, how exactly they're going to cope with labor. So there is a lot of this dance of, the being and the doing. And I think, the beautiful lesson about the practicality and the spirituality that Michelle was just talking about is exactly that dance, of, yeah, there are some elements that are really practical, but there are some that are spiritual, and that is the last point, which is also making peace with the outcome. That with labor, many things will go more or less as you thought it was going to be. And it's the same thing with parenting and life. And some of the things will be completely different than you thought it was going to be. And a lot of times challenging, and a lot of times disappointing. So there is an element of, sitting with that grief and being okay with it. And I think, when a person that had a challenging labor or challenging birth experience, what they hear the most is, but you're healthy and your baby's healthy. And 100%, they can be equally grateful that they're healthy and their baby's healthy, and at the same time disappointed that birth was not what they thought it was going to be, that perhaps they had to have a surgical birth that they didn't plan to, or whatever it is, that the expectations were not met. So, there is sometimes a need to fix it, when we just need to sit with what it is and finding peace in that, finding lessons in that that process can be very long, depending on how people are coping. So there is a constantly opportunity to revisit. I find that for people that have children, every year when they celebrate their child's birthday, they revisit labor. My oldest daughter is 34 years old, and 34 years ago, when I celebrate her birthday, I can still think about that time in my life. And it's the gift that keeps giving. There is always a new perspective of that experience that perhaps I didn't see it then, but I can see it now, that, it made me the person that I am today, either hard or easy, good or bad, or whatever the definition is.
Oh my goodness. I just want to say, Anna, that you condensed a life worth of wisdom into a very short amount of time. And there are a million things that I would love to pick apart about what you just shared and dive into. And we'll have to do a one-on-one, because pregnancy, birth, parenting, being born, we've all been born. So even if you haven't given birth, you've had the quotes trauma of being born. And so we all share in this life, birth, aging, sickness, death. We cannot escape these. And what a profound gift it is that you do the work that you do, and that you teach us how to. I loved what you said about, the metaphor of the contraction. Let's just be in the moment before or during the contraction, and then, and that how that's just like life. And I think that is so true, that, we all are nodding our heads going, yes, life is just a series of expansion and contraction. Are we in an expansion right now? Enjoy it. If you're in a contraction right now, breathe. Just be here. It's gonna change. and then we're going to expand again. And can we just be comfortable with the uncomfortableness of that contraction? And it's never as long as we think it's going to be, if we can just fully be with it. And so much of what you were talking about is letting go. I think like that is it. Letting go and 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 letting go, forever letting go of the expectation of the control. So thank you for what you teach and what you do. You've empowered so many women. I really could talk about this subject forever. Thank you, Anna. So Cara Lee Garrison is a motivational musician, confidence catalyst, vocal visionary who guides soul-led creatives to shed old stories, reclaim the power of their voice, and rise into joyful, embodied self-expression. Cara Lee, what have you had to, and she's been on my podcast, I've been on her podcast, you can go back and listen. What have you had to unlearn in order to rise into your fullest vocal power? And then part two, how do you help others do the same?
I just have to say, I'm so grateful I get to go after Anna, because I wanted to talk about control and safety and letting go of all of these things. So some of you know me and some of you do not. I have 3 kids with special needs. My youngest is 11, but I'm feeling those contractions all the time in life. I also have a husband who's been disabled for a decade. So I was noticing that many of us are mothers, caretakers, and if not, that some of us are feeling that we are in 2 different places, maybe, that we are feeling that dissonance in our lives. And I have felt that a lot. So I'm simultaneously this caretaker all the time in that messy grind of life. And then I'm also a performer and a podcaster and a public speaker and a professional. I teach at the college, I teach makeup, and I go and I, work on these shows, and they're like, we just love you, Cara Lee. You're doing all these things and you're so professional. And then I come home and my kids scream at me about how I'm the worst mom, and they throw things and smash things. And I'm like, how is this my life in these 2 different arenas? And I struggle to let go of the supposed to, of showing up in, public spaces with my kids going, wait, they're supposed to look put together. They are supposed to look one way that I was taught as a child. I'm always supposed to, look nice. And I have one of my children he'll be 14 at the end of the month, and he's severely autistic and type 1 diabetic. And right now his favorite word is anus. And he just loves yelling that word all the time and giggling and running up to people, like our bishop at church, and just going, anus, right in his face. And I'm letting go. I'm releasing that shame of, what motherhood is supposed to look like, what control is supposed to look like around that, and what professional womanhood looks like, and allowing him to use his voice in the ways that he wants to, because for 7 years he was completely nonverbal and had no voice. And now I'm constantly trying to remember that his voice is a gift and he gets to use it in whatever way he wants to. And so as I teach, speakers and singers how to use their voice, I have to constantly come back and remind them that they are safe, in their body, and that they get to be free. And it starts with breathing. Like, it starts with that breath that we came back to, Siri. It starts with feeling the music, and we co-regulate. I did it literally. I was doing it at rehearsal with these girls last night who were feeling so nervous on stage. We practice it and we co-regulate, and I have to do that with my kids, and I have to do that with clients, and we sing together. Okay, not with my kids. My kids will scream at me if I sing with them, but with my clients, where it's like, okay, we're gonna sing it. We're gonna sing it together, and we're gonna do it over and over and over again until you feel more comfortable doing it on your own. We're just gonna keep practicing. And I've been Toastmasters president for the last year, and like working with speakers, and it's like, okay, Well, I'll stand on stage next to you, and it's okay if you cry. And it's okay if you say 100 times and you have no idea what you're doing. I'll be right there with you. You're safe.
Yeah.
It's learning that you're safe. It's learning that as I stand there next to my son and he's doing something that just brings back all the shame of my childhood and like, wait a minute, this is not what motherhood is supposed to look like, that I'm safe. Coming back home to safety. So to answer that question, it's letting go. It's letting go of the shame and letting go of the control and coming back home to, I really am safe. I can let other people, including my kids, be who they are and use their voices.
Wow. I don't even know exactly what to say because I'm just so emotionally moved by how you show up for people
I love you, Siri.
in the face of so much challenge. It's really amazing.
Thank you. You're gonna make me cry, Siri.
I just want to interject, and with a bubbly smile, it's infectious and magnetic. So thank you, Carolee. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
So, Carolee, you're an incredible president of Toastmasters, an incredible teacher of makeup, an incredible teacher of podcasting, an incredible singer and singing teacher, vocal visionary, all the things. You have so many gifts, and you've got these incredible children that are really, really putting you in the face of. I love how you said shame, because that is what we need to name. We need to name it because then it doesn't claim us. And that's part of what I'm so moved by, is you naming it. Because I relate, and I think so many of us, we all relate to what that feels like, to feel that we need to wear a mask so that we don't feel the shame. So can we make it safe to drop the mask? And that's what you talked about, and that really moves me. That you're making it safe to put the mask down and to and maybe your children triggering people is what they need. Maybe that's part of their medicine. And I know that you know that. So, Sarah Rose is a creative copywriter and brand voice specialist. She helps entrepreneurs create personalized brand voices for their businesses to make marketing themselves both easier and more enjoyable. Sarah, what is the link between rewriting our personal story and rewriting how we show up in the world? And then part 3 is, how do you see this shift unfold in your clients? So just first starting with, what's the link between rewriting our personal story and rewriting how we show up in the world?
Thank you for having me, Siri. I am so grateful to be here. I just want to say I think it's incredibly poetic to get to be here for the rewrite panel, because that is what I do every day. I help people rewrite their stories. And I find a lot of the time my clients come to me and they've already begun rewriting their story. They just don't really know what comes next or how to tell that story to the world. So when my clients come to me, they're very often the same as yours, Jessica, your ideal client. There's women who've done everything in quotes right. You know, they've worked really hard. They maybe have lived the corporate life, and they start to feel like there's something more out there for them. And oftentimes that comes with starting their own business, starting their own thing, something that they can take ownership of and that can feel really authentic to them. And so then when they go to turn themselves into this new person, this new entrepreneur, they don't know where to start and they feel uncomfortable expressing their passion to the world, telling people what they love to do and how they can help others. And they struggle to find a way to do that in a form that feels really true to them. So, yeah, rewriting how we show up in the world. I mean, that what a difficult concept. I think everyone struggles with this. I have never met anyone who loves marketing themselves or shouting from the rooftops, buy, 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 do it, please buy from me. And finding a way to do those things when you do enter a business that you love and you start this passion, it's such a challenge. But really, the key for me, the link is the authenticity. Doing it in a way that feels true to your soul. You don't have to be shouting bye, bye, bye all the time. You can say, this is what I love to do. Here is my passion. And you can just send that energy out into the world, and your clients will come and they will see you. They will see that personality behind the pen. They'll feel your energy even through your website, even through your social media. If you give them the chance to, what it really means to rewrite your brand voice or to use your brand voice, create one for yourself is to create a version of you that is maybe just a little polished. It's a boundary that you get to set. You get to share as much as you'd like to share about yourself and as little as you want as well. But in the words that you choose to send out into the world, you know that that is what is going to draw others back to you. Those are the moments that allow people to truly connect to you as a person and see your joys and how you can help them. So yeah, that's really the beautiful thing for me. That's what I love about my job. I love getting to help people figure out where to start. Usually I get a lot of messy notes and big ideas and writing samples, and I get to sift through all of it for the copywriting gold and send back to them a full brand voice guide that tells them what lines to draw between how personable they want to be, how professional they want to feel, and allow them to set those guidelines really for themselves without realizing they even do it.
I think it's really important what you're saying, Sarah, because we are in a culture where there is a lot of encouragement to overshare, and it's really knowing, where is my personal boundary? What is bleeding into excavating my life in a way that's not necessary? And what feels good and still is authentic? And what are ways that I can create boundaries with myself with, the way that I'm going to do my work and my personal life and the way I'm going to speak and what I'm going to share and what I'm not going to share. I think there does need to be a lot more discernment in this day and age. And then I'm just really curious, this wasn't part of your question, but if you're able to sort of condense an answer for us about AI and using chat, and what would you say? Do you enjoy it? Do you like it? Do you encourage it? Do you think that it's helpful? How can it be helpful? I know this is a huge conversation.
Oh, yes. I love this question. It's actually one I get all the time as a writer, I'm sure you can imagine. But yeah, AI is a tool. I think that's really what it boils down to for me. It's important to remember that it's as incredibly helpful as it can be. AI writing programs are a tool, and they're a piece of the puzzle. They're not the complete journey. I think AI can be wonderful for creating a place to start. If you're staring at a blank page, a blinking cursor, and it's just taunting you, and you have no idea what to throw on the page and where to begin, it's a wonderful place to start. And there's no shame in that. I write all day, every day, and there are many days where I have no idea what to say. I used to name dog toys. Let me tell you, there's only so many dog puns that you can use. And sometimes you need a little help. And it's just the same as if you were going to go to a friend, if you were going to hire a copywriter. But the difference for me, and what really is the key, is that you don't want to rely 100% on anyone really writing for you. And I say that as a copywriter myself. People hire me to write for them all the time, and I'm a ghostwriter, so I can do that in a way that feels authentic to you. But But it's quite the challenge, and really the key is to include as much of yourself as you're willing to share, and to show that beautiful light that's yours through your writing, to put your own personal spin on it, to really take the time to edit and tweak it and make sure that it sounds like you, because those are the things that are going to really connect you with your audience. And that's what people want to see. They people want to buy from people, people want to work with people. They don't want to work with robots. So just making sure that you include yourself in your writing, that's really what matters
I
most.
love that. You're really talking about the middle way, and it's not about denying technology and advancements and what can be helpful. And it's also like, let's make sure your authenticity is here, your whole self. I
Yeah,
love that.
sound like you, no one else.
Thank you, Sarah. You're an old soul. So, Joya, speaking of old souls and also young spirits, Joya is both. Joya Sosanowski, she has been on the podcast previously. You can go back and listen to her episode. I really highly encourage that. She guides world changers to awaken their authentic sacred self and embody their divine frequency through the alchemy of source, sound, and soul expression. Joya, what does it mean to rewrite and rise from a soul frequency lens? How do source and sound support that reclamation? So, what does it mean to rewrite and rise from a soul frequency lens?
Such a big question. And first, I just want to say, wow, what a beautiful panel. So many soulful, lit women on here. It just feels so good to be here. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you. Um, Gosh, I'm being rewritten right now in my own life as we speak, powerfully, really powerfully. And being the researcher that I am and the science nerd that I've always been, it always seeks me into having these profound mystical experiences and then seeking the answers to who else has experienced this. I can't be alone, right? Because we're humans, we're all experiencing the same stories. They say there's only 7 stories in the world. So we're all sharing a story. And we are souls having a human experience first and foremost. And I know this beyond a shadow of a doubt. And for those of you who don't know, my 18-year-old son passed away in February, just this past February. And I am sane, stable, at peace, and in massive grief, like in all of it all at one time. And my grief experience has been profoundly mystical. And so I'm like, wow, I'm having a mystical experience in the midst of grief. I feel like a crazy woman because he comes into me. I can feel his presence. I like energetically, I experience him. And rather than denying it, like, and I realize now from where I'm at right now is that he's teaching me lessons every month. And I picked it up last month. I'm like, oh my God, like you're teaching me lessons from the other side that are really profound. And luckily I'm a crazy neurotic writer person. I write everything down constantly. I always have. I have thousands of journals going back to since my 20s. And he's really teaching me really profound lessons from the other side. And it's put me into this place of completely rewriting everything about who I think I am. And, you know, right before he passed, I knew something was coming and my Instagram was full. I mean, like I have evidence of this, you guys. This is what makes it so amazing is that I have so much documented evidence. And I had posted the day before he passed. In meditation, I heard a voice say, grief descends upon the heart that has been broken open. It's time for you to get reacquainted with grief. And I posted that on Instagram the day before he died.
Wow.
And I know now that my soul somehow and his soul we have a soul contract. He told me we do, and that I was being divinely prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really made me stop questioning myself. Because before that, I was in that space like so many of us, and so many of us have mentioned that liminal space between something's calling me, something's pulling me, something is making me want to seek something more in my life. I don't know what that thing is. I just feel that I'm not content. I just feel that there's something missing. And the other part of us that's like rationalizes that thing away, like how so many of us had mentioned, right? That it's like we talk ourselves out of our own growth because our ego fears our growth, period.
Yes, yes.
And so it really sent me into this quest of like, what are we searching for? And as I allowed my heart to break open and spill out all the contents of me into the forefront of my reality to see with such clarity that I couldn't BS myself. And I love that, oh, she's gone. I love that she used her initials for BS. I was just like, yes. For sure. From a branding perspective, you probably liked that too. Sarah, I don't see her here, but we are frequency first. We are souls first. We are frozen light. Like we are frozen into this contraption, this body, this bio electro physical miraculous vehicle to carry our soul through our life. That's what we're doing. And we're expressing ourselves all in these totally unique ways. And so it's really finding that it's as simple as finding what lights you up inside. What's that deep thing that lights you up? Using your voice, singing, creating, painting, dancing, planting gardens, just being a kind freaking person, whatever it is. And then we do that thing. And so that's really our whole purpose, is to find that hidden thing that our soul just wants to express, and then doing what we love. And we overcomplicate it so much. And it is because of the conditioning and the, all the things that we were shamed for. We were shamed for being who we truly are as children. And so our default mode network, our ego kicked in and was like, it's not safe to be myself. I need to hide this away. And then we spend the rest of our lives looking for it.
Yeah.
And so, going through what I'm going through is one way to do it. I don't recommend it. It sucks. But you can also do it through plant medicine journeys. Which is why they've become so powerful, because you need something to take you out of your normal default mode network, which tells you who you are and who you think you are. And of course, sound for me is such a powerful way to do that, to tune into, how do I use source to do this? Because I know that we are source first. I can get out of my way to become a vessel and a channel for frequencies to come through. I don't know how to do it, how I'm doing it. I'm not doing it. I just get out of the way and it channels through, and I can hear. It's hard to explain, but I can hear and feel the resonance in someone's field and know the frequencies that they need, and just ask source, their soul, connecting with their soul, that in this field, in the quantum field of oneness, which we all exist in reality in, that I can feel and know energetically what that soul needs. And it can come through, and sound plus intention equals healing. And so it really is a way of working in the quantum realm and into the vibrational beings that we truly are, to transform that essence of who we are. And it's really like a way of shattering all the stuff that's in the way and getting it out of the way. And you can do that. I mean, you can intentionally disrupt your default mode network through sound, through breath work journeys, there's so many ways. Trauma is definitely a way that all of us go through. And whether we can get stuck in the traumas because of our mind and how it works, or we can use that energy to rebuild and rewrite and recode ourselves by really honoring and trusting our own experiences, and not letting the world tell you how you think you should grieve, how you think you should feel, what other people expect from you, and just really honoring. And it takes so much self-trust to say yes to yourself and trust your own experiences. But when you do, I can't even, wow is like the only word, because there are no words for what happens on an energetic soul level when you start to do that. It's like when you get a little bit of it and your soul goes, yes, let's give her more. And it's like, then more starts to come in and you express it. And then it's like, yes, she's doing it. And more starts to come in and you express it. And so we like build up these levels of self-trust just by making these beautiful, holy, sacred, self-honoring, soul-honoring choices, to listen to our gut, to listen to our heart, to listen to our intuition, and to tell this thing up here to shut up. That's really it.
Or please, I see you, but take a back seat.
Oh no, I tell mine to shut up, because sometimes the things that come in, I'm like, wow, my thoughts are crazy. Wow. Like, where did that come from? Holy moly. So yeah, sometimes I'm just like, you just need to just zip it.
You're
Holy
like
moly.
you're like the no BS version.
I
Yeah.
am the no BS version, because I
Yeah.
tried being nice to it, and it will find a
yeah.
workaround. It's like it knows how to be tricky and to get in all the cracks, and so I'm just like, no. Yeah.
Well, I am floored by your resilience, and I don't think that that feels good to hear, because no one wants to be like hearing, "Oh, you're so strong. How are you so strong?" No one wants to hear that. It's like, is there a choice? No. But I'm floored by you prior to your son passing to the other side. You were on a panel with us literally days. I think it was like 2 days prior
Yeah.
to your son passing. We were on a panel together here on this podcast. And I see you, I watch you on Instagram drumming, and I see how you show up, and I see how you're in community. And it's phenomenal. And I am blown away. I have no words for just the work that you did and you do, and who you're becoming, and just the process that you just laid out for us of, really like allowing yourself the freedom to live from soul, to live in the art of the invisible. It's incredible. And I can't speak to it enough, because I promised that we would stay on time. And so I do need to introduce 3 more of our incredible panelists. So please, go back, listen to Joya's conversation with me, enter her world. If you want more, she's there. Dr. Natasha Qasim, beautiful, is an integrative doctor and visionary guide, helping change makers heal burnout. Yes, and reclaim vitality through a powerful fusion of medicine, ancestral wisdom, and soul-aligned leadership. My gosh, do we need that? So, Dr. Natasha, what story do women most often rewrite to truly reclaim their energy? And how does the body guide that process?
Yeah, well, thank you again, as others have reflected so far on this very soul purpose and synergistic conversation. It's been so touching. I'm so moved by being here. The story that I often witness when I'm working with patients and we really delve down to the root of things is that whether it's in a gentle whisper or it's in a loud scream, but that the body is betraying them. That in some way, whether they're navigating chronic fatigue or autoimmune conditions, maybe hormonal changes or insomnia or waves of emotional overwhelm, there's often this belief that's underneath that their body is the problem, that their pain, it means failure, that their symptoms are something to be ashamed about, and that the discomfort means that they are doing something wrong, or that the body, there's something very wrong with the body, and there's a betrayal energy underneath it. And when we slow down together, right, and we really begin to listen, we realize that the story isn't theirs. Bridget anchored us in at the very beginning into that conversation, that we can inherit these beliefs, right? That these are conditioned in us. And whether they are woven in through internalizing familial or societal constructs or narratives, whether it's about silencing women's wisdom across generations, these sort of teachings around mistrusting our rhythms, the conversations that are coming up from within, those things begin to siphon away our life force. Every time we're engaging in that narrative that the body is betraying, that life is betraying me. Right. And we've always been, or a lot of us have been taught that the body must be controlled, that it's too messy, maybe it's too emotional, it's too much, that it's not enough. All of these are part of that whole narrative of fixing, and to believing that we are really broken. So these beliefs, I don't feel are just beliefs in an abstract way. These are they become part of imprints. They become part of what's alive in our tissues, in our nervous system. It can shape how we breathe, how we digest, whether we're willing to give ourselves the opportunity to rest, to receive love, care, nourishment. And so when we're living from this imprint of betrayal, a lot of the work I'm doing is helping to slow things down, because something very sacred has gotten severed here, right? There's been a loss of life force. There's been a dimming of our power. And there's been this disconnection from embodiment and from listening. And with that, then a loss of connection and vitality, right? So the work that I'm doing with individuals is where we come back to the body and we don't rush to erase the symptoms. And that's challenging from a healthcare perspective, right? When a patient comes to you, they want to get rid of these symptoms like yesterday. And a lot of the work that I'm doing is inviting us to slow things down and to really honor what's coming up as messages.
Yeah.
Remembering how to learn and listen and bring reverence to this unity between being and body. And I think in that process, something really beautiful emerges. It's not that not all conditions all of a sudden eradicate, but there is a connection that arrives. There's this reverence that's returned. And with that becomes this level of empowerment, a turning toward the symptoms and an embrace of oneself. And there's so much transformation that happens in that holy remembrance. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, we're all just nodding and nodding and nodding, especially Anna Paula Markel. I mean, gosh. Can we please have 1 million of you, Dr. Natasha? Because that is what the world needs. We need doctors that understand what you're sharing more than ever. And yes, the wisdom of the body and the listening and the slowing down and the not denying of, and it's part of the patriarchy. And I went through chronic fatigue from age 19 until, in and out through COVID. And yeah, I know what that is.
Have you felt that betrayal energy come up?
I understand the feeling of shame and not enough, and I need to speed up and I feel less than, and if I slow down, I'll disappear, and all of the myriad of things that come with, and I'm looking at, Michelle's picture because she's gone through things like this, like that come with not being in alignment with the body. And that's conditioning, and that's been taught. And what you said, like it becomes this, like, what did you say, energetic blueprint? Like it becomes
it's an imprint.
An imprint. Yes, it is in there. So we need your medicine in terms of literal medicine, but also, the philosophies that you're highlighting for us are so important to really thrive, to survive and to thrive and to heal and to come into our wholeness. And please, if you've missed any of what Dr. Natasha just said, go back, listen again, listen 10 times, because it's just vital. It's just vital. So thank you for that. And more soon. And so Amanda Malarkey is the visionary founder of the Wild Fern Project, a designer, yoga instructor, permaculture advocate, and mother of 3. based in the Lake Tahoe region. And also sometimes she's in Camas, Washington, which is where I am. So we are actually neighbors that never see each other in person. But Amanda, what does nature teach you about becoming, and how do your creative practices mirror the process of inner transformation?
Dr. Natasha said it is the slowing down, right? It's the slowing down. I call it the hammock time, the noticing. Where do I feel more regulated? Where am I feeling more calm and safe? And that's in nature. That's under a tree. It provides shade, it provides air, it provides something usually that smells good, like all of our senses, right? We get to tap into all of our senses when we're amongst trees. And so I spend more and more and more time in nature, whether it's a business meeting, whether it's a walk with a child to talk to them about something going on in their life. Let's meet at the park. Let's go for a walk rather than a boardroom or in the bedroom or wherever it might be. So the meeting spaces are in nature. And I realized in 2005, when I was in the corporate world, that's what we were doing with Herman Miller, which is a global design and research manufacturing company, is we were designing spaces so that they could feel more in nature, whether it's the shape of their cubicles, right? We no longer did the cubicles. We went to the honeycomb. We brought in colors that reflect nature. We brought in transparency. We made sure light was filtering into their spaces. And then move on from the corporate world, teaching yoga and breath work throughout Zion and Costa Rica, just bringing people into nature and creating this adventurous experience where we can deep dive and do some healing and have some fun. And now I'm the founder of the Wild Fern, which is a nonprofit that I've founded. We bought a piece of property near us here in Lake Tahoe, which is in the valley, and it's a farm. I now have 12 farm animals, a cute, cuddly Highland cow and some baby goats, and these beautiful Great Pyrenees dogs. But I bring people, whether it's, the richest of the rich families in Tahoe, that their families come to experience it, to the people that I work with, the juvenile probation system, to kids who their parents can barely put food on the table. And so we're providing them these fresh organic food, but then also, how do you do it? How do you regenerate the soil? You're literally putting your hands and your feet into the earth. So it's that going from the corporate world talking about biophilia to now permaculture design, and permaculture giving love to the land, and the land gives back to you. And working with, the sex trafficking world, with the Lolo Light Foundation, another nonprofit that I was a part of. And it's bringing these children and adults into nature, because there's so much that you can remember there. There's so much that you can heal from your childhood, to connecting with your inner child, to the playfulness, to hearing, feeling, seeing it all. And it's where I spend my time. And that's where I live.
I cannot tell you guys how incredible it is to witness Amanda's life. Follow her on Instagram because Amanda, you are so fiercely dedicated to the land, but just as much, if not more so fiercely dedicated to your children, dedicated to the animals, dedicated to your children's passions. And then you have all of these businesses. She's opening a restaurant. I don't know how you do it, but it is a privilege to get to tap in each week and facilitate breathwork for you. You're incredible. And, the work you do with Lolo Light, thank you for the work that you do in the world, Amanda. You're such a bright light. And I think that we would all benefit from being involved in any of the various ways that you bring to us. So Robin Cohen is an American film, television, and stage actress best known for her role as Anne-Marie Sakowitz in Wes Anderson's The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Sakowitz.
Thank you. An acclaimed acting teacher.
Who cares?
co-leading masterclasses with Jeff Goldblum at Playhouse West previously, and founder of the Cohen Acting Studio in Los Angeles. Robin has a million credits. She's literally always on stage or on film. Like, she's never not either teaching or acting. I swear to you, it's like, what? I don't know. She fits it all in somehow. Robin, what's the deeper power in being, and by the way, she's been on the podcast like 10 times. What's the deeper power in being truly seen and heard? And how has vulnerability shaped your own creative evolution? And bring us home, please. I'll wrap us up too, but like, so not all the pressure's on you. This is it,
Siri. This is it. And with regards to being seen and heard, there's a lag. Can you see me and hear me okay? Since we're on the topic. Okay. So I'll just dive in. I'm right now on a tour of a show that was on Broadway, and now I'm in Michigan, somewhere in Holland, Michigan. And the answer to your question was the response to one of our audience members who saw the show. The show, ultimately, we have this debate about whether we should keep or abolish the United States Constitution, as it is either helping or harming people as we go. It's about women's rights and human rights, indigenous people's rights, LGBTQ rights, human rights for everyone, with no one left out and no one left behind. It's a play that is a woman's true story, and she is on a mission to interrupt the sort of sleepwalking that we're doing as Americans when we don't really know how we're being governed. So it's a love letter to the generations of women that have come before us, to our mothers, to our grandmothers, to our great-great-grandmothers. And she said to me, this was a rabbi actually, after the show, and she said to me, this show is really complete in the first 10 minutes. You said what the whole point was. And I said, say more. And she said, well, the end of the show, you talk about whether you should get a new constitution or an old constitution. And it's this big debate, but that's not really the play. It's not about a piece of paper. It's not about switching up a piece of paper. She said, in the beginning of the show, you talk about what it is to truly be seen as a human being by another human being. I'll just give you the 2 lines of the show that she was referring to. In the show, I go back in time. I'm 15 years old, and I am talking to all these debate judges, these veterans of war, and I'm trying to win this debate competition. And I use this metaphor to talk about the Constitution. And I say, looking at it as a 15-year-old girl, I say, looking at it, all of you reminds me of a fantasy I used to have as a little girl about being attacked by a rapist or a murderer. A rapist or a murderer who is a man, like all of you. And in my fantasy, I am able to convince the murderer and rapist not to murder me, because I am able to make you see that just like you, I am a human being. You say, I'm here to murder you. And I say, no, think about this for a moment. Just like you, I am a human being. And then you see me for the first time as a human being. And you say, you're right. Oh my God, you are a human being. And then you start to cry. And I forgive you. And a rainbow appears. And we climb up on this rainbow together. And by this time, a big crowd of my friends from school has gathered on the street below, and they're so jealous to see me walking on this rainbow. Like, doesn't she have to be in class? How is she so special? And I'm like, I'm delivering this poor man to heaven. I will see you in PE. Okay, so all of this, the rabbi says to me after the show, again, it's not about the governing document. It's that when a person can look into the soul of another human being and get seen for the first time in another's eyes, that's the whole game. That's the game of transformation of the planet. That's the game for an equal rights amendment passing. That's the game for climate change. That's a game for ending the 52 wars that are happening right now as we speak in this podcast. Two people doing this: Natasha, Anna, Amanda, Michelle, Carolee, Sarah, Joya, Siri. This is it. And so today, this is it takes on a new shimmer. Like, actually, this is it. It's the simplicity of what Joya was talking about. Light. In the beginning of every play, the stage direction goes lights up, on, and then you fill in the blank. So we're here to just turn the lights up on you, me, our souls, and the shared humanity. And at the end of the play, blackout. So thanks for allowing me to share that. And I when I got that question and when she shared that with me, I knew that it had to be her answer that was invoked in this conversation on this podcast. Thanks for letting me share that. It was a profound experience to share that with all of you who have given me my heart back today. And I also have to address very briefly, Michelle, when you said that about being a performer. The audiences that come to see this play are never the same, and they don't want to be. But Michelle, a year ago, I said out loud, I'm not an actor. I realized I'm not an actor. But what I was really saying is what you said. I'm not here to perform for love. I'm not here to perform for love. I'm here because I love, period. I'm here because I love, period. And it has made all the difference to reclaim why I do what I do, that it is inside of this simple but profound, magnificent connection that all of this performing arts arises. So thank you for that beautiful reminder and invitation to look at the reframing of that and the world of performance as it was so collapsed with love and transaction. Thank you for helping me to unwind that for myself even more deeply today. And all of you have knocked me back with your huge hearts. And I am in awe of each and every one. And my new slogan for this podcast is, it's go time for women. It is go time for women and men and human beings everywhere. The end. Blackout.
Oh my gosh, Robin, I've never been able to get to your show thus far. But I do feel that you've condensed the power and the message of the work that you do into 5 minutes or whatever that just was, that the portal that you just brought us into. And we should all go see your show. Thank you. I feel shooken to my core by your message and your sharing and the portal you brought us into of your show. I feel forever changed, always by you, but particularly with the depth and the validity and the importance and the resonance of your message. There's a level of being awake that I think we all have here. We're all paying attention, very good paying attention people, you know. But then there's the level of that you bring whenever you speak, which is the next level of wake up and be here. And that carpe diem, that Robin Williams energy, the Dead Poets Society, and feel like you have that, you embody that, and you bring that to everything that you touch. And
I'm glad you brought up Robin Williams, because the tragedy of his life, that beautiful, gorgeous, brilliant performing artist, is that he didn't have this that's happening right here. on some level, the heart center was shattered, missing, which is why his life story ended in such a tragedy.
And Bridget started us by saying community.
Yeah.
She said that was the medicine community, and here we are.
Yeah.
And so I do want to honor us all, women here, and those of you listening, women and men, with a poem, Rise Her Name. Thank you for bringing your whole selves to this sacred space. Thank you for the ways that you rewrite stories with your life in each breath and each moment in this moment. Thank you for letting us witness you rise. Each of you carries a medicine, clearly. The world welcomes. Each of you is a chapter in this new book of creative embodied power. Together, you are a movement. Let this be the beginning of your next great becoming, and let this final poem be a blessing. So, Goddess of Light retreats. If you enjoyed this one time, Robin was on a panel with us and in another amalgamation, and she said, we should all meet in a field somewhere. And then Megan said, what about Oregon, where you are, Siri, and Mount Hood? And so I have found this magical, magical, beautiful space for us to in person be together, whether it's you women, you powerful women bringing your wisdom and bringing your circle, bringing your tribe to what I've put into place, which is this incredible chef. Her name is Marne, and she has a restaurant in Portland called Bastion, and she does gluten-free, amazing, mostly vegetarian, incredible meals that will change your life forever. She is at all of these retreats. I've partnered with her. There is an incredible performer, Lola Christine, who is a musician that will change your life forever, have you in tears, shake you to the core, just like Robin just did with us. I've hired her to come to all of the retreats. Mount Hood Village, Oregon. It's on the Sandy River. There's one house that I've reserved, but there are 3 other houses we can grow into. So this is really that part where we step out and we don't understand and we just say yes to the soul, and then we just create the space. And that's what I'm doing here, is I'm saying, hey, bring your tribe, bring your women, bring your people. I've got the structure for it. And whether you come on your own or you bring your soul sisters that are friends or you bring your clients, I've got the structure for it. We're going to do transformational breath work. We're going to do cacao ceremony. Sometimes we'll do Akashic record reading. Sometimes we'll do Reiki certifications, but there's space and I've put it into place, and it's March 2026. It's May 2026. It's October 2026. So please reach out to me if you're listening, if you're here and you want to bring your people or you want to just come on your own. We're going to do this. We're going to do this life-changing circling that we just did. Thank you for listening and being so patient, but also like lucky us and lucky you for soaking up these gems. So here's our closing poem, Rise Her Name. She is a song returned to the body. She is Joya, and she channels source into sound. She is Anna Paula holding birth as the first rewrite. She is Carolee singing truth into liberation. She is Sarah bringing voice to brand, soul to sentence. She is Amanda growing gardens of inner truth. She is Natasha mending the medicine between body and soul. She is Michelle, a walking invitation to worth. She is Jessica midwifing the sacred spark into life. She is Robin unmasking truth through story. She is Bridget bridging boldness with belonging, and together they are a constellation. Together they are the rewrite. Together they rise. Rise their names, rise your own, and keep expanding your capacity to feel good, one breath at a time. Loving you, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much, you beautiful, gorgeous, wise women. Loving you.
Thank you, Siri. Thank you, Siri, starlight, starbright, goddess of heaven and earth.
Hey, friend, that was the most wonderful, incredible, awe-inspiring, heart-opening, earth-shaking panel. I really never know what to expect. I think I do, my mind thinks I know exactly how this is going to go, but then I'm just blown away by the incredible wisdom and the incredible growth in the incredible messages that are channeled through the panel and the women specifically, and what they are opening to and realizing and remembering. So thank you so much to the women that shared today. And what a beautiful, beautiful blessing it is that we got to experience these women's wisdom and their voices and their rewriting of their stories. So thank you so much. I look forward to you continuing to enjoy all of their wisdom. Hey friend, if you are loving these conversations and feeling called to go deeper into your healing, your creativity, and your capacity to feel good, I would love to invite you to work with me. I offer one-to-one sessions that blend transformational breathwork with Reiki, Akashic record readings, and energetic healing, all designed to help you reconnect with your truth and power. And if you've been dreaming of retreating with other heart-led women in beautiful intentional space, the November 7th to 11th private custom retreat is already full, but the 2026 Goddess of Light retreats are now open for early registration. March 15th to 18th is our Akashic Certification Graduation Retreat. May 3rd to the 6th, we gather for Coming Alive. October 4th to the 7th, we are returning once again to Mount Hood Village, Oregon, for our returning home theme. Every retreat is infused with breathwork, Reiki, organic, incredibly healing meals by Marne from Bastion in Portland, and sacred space to reconnect with your essence, body, mind, and soul. If you're a leader, healer, or circle holder ready to bring your own group, I also curate custom private retreats, and we can dream something beautiful into being together. Currently, the May 3rd to 6th and the October 4th to 7th dates are up for grabs in terms of having your own private custom retreat at our Mount Hood Village, Oregon location. To learn more or get on the list, you can email me directly, siri@sagenblushwellness.com. I can't wait to breathe with you. There is a place for you here. Until next time, keep breathing, keep listening, keep feeling. Your healing is a gift, it is a superpower, and you are already enough. Loving you.